Stewart, this is so great to have some time with you at this point. I have been a fan for years. What I'm amazed about is your life is a movie. You were born here in the States, you ended up in the Mideast. The influence of music that came about you and what had to your...
Actually, the Middle East.
The Middle East. Yes. What was it like? Where did music start in your life? I mean, you played guitar first?
Trombone.
Trombone first.
My father was a jazz musician before he became a CIA man.
Yeah.
And he was looking for, his kids to carry the torch of music. And it didn't take. I was the youngest. And so when I came up, the house was full of instruments that had been abandoned by my older siblings. And I started picking them up. There was a guitar, there was a nice piano in the house, and my father's trumpet, which trumpet's actually kind of hard.
Yeah.
But my father said, try trombone. So I was in trombone lessons right away, and bull. I liked the instrument itself, and the playing part didn't really click until a buddy of mine pulled out a catalog of Slingerland drums. And the cover was a picture of a drum set. It looked like a Corvette or something to me, just all chrome and cool looking textures and whatever, the pearl or sparkle or red or blue or just wow. And then there's another drum set. And then you turn there's another drum set with more tom-toms. And you turn another page and there's 2 bass drums and tom-toms. And the last page is a fold, what do you call it? The center fold out.
The center fold out.
Just drums from here to here. And I guess that was the beginning of a long journey.
Did you seek out lessons at that point when you were inspired to play the drums?
I didn't seek them out. My father sought them out.
Interesting.
He had me in every kind of lesson. He had an Armenian jazz drummer who played at a strip joint in Beirut, who I'd go over to his house, and I didn't realize at the time, but it was like a working Armenian jazz drummer in Beirut, Lebanon. And he had some pads there, and he taught me how to hold the sticks and how to go rumpity-pump, the rudiments. My dad was real fixated on correct rudiments. So I started out with all the correct stuff right from the get-go. And I guess I was playing in a band at the time, the Black Knights, which was a bunch of American kids at the American Community School in Beirut.
Yeah.
Then there was another band, the Overtakers and the Undertakers were 2 rival gangs in Beirut. Believe it or not, the American kids in Beirut and the English kids and the Italian kids and the French kids who were all going to, there was a European school, there was the American school, and there was the English school. And we all hung out together. The American Embassy Beach Club, it was kind of a thing. But there, believe it or not, bands in Beirut in 1966 or something like that.
Unbelievable.
And we were the Black Knights.
This is a movie. I'm telling you, this is incredible. You're playing with this band. What kind of music were you playing?
We played Animals, House of the Rising Sun, cool. Kinks, James Brown. That was tricky.
Wow.
Bum, 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 bum. How many of these do we have to do?
I feel good.
That's right. And that was the first time playing it. Actually, the British Embassy Beach Club, the St. George Club, was playing with the band. And we were playing, "We Gotta Get Out of This Place." And there was Janet McRoberts. I was 12.
Interesting.
But that's Janet McRoberts.
Yeah.
And she's there, dancing to something that I'm doing.
Oh my God.
And that was sort of a connection of the thing that 12-year-old boys are just starting to get really interested in, that I got this weapon. I was a skinny little piece of snot, by the way. Late bloomer, very much.
Did you continue from there? Was it more?
Well, my next
gigs
epiphany was in church at Wells Cathedral in Somerset, England, where my boarding school, which was kind of a Hogwarts type establishment, had its Christmas service in Wells Cathedral. And so I was in the band, and I only played one song, which was the dum 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 dum. That was my thing. And the rest of the time, the guy had to keep me away from the drums because I was rattling and just noisy, as drummers are, particularly when they're now 15 or something.
Yeah.
So he sent me off to the other part. Now the cathedral is shaped like a cross. There's the long part with the people. There's about 1,000 students, parents, and teachers in the long part. Up the part, that's God's part, where Jesus and the stuff, Then there's the 2 wings. And I was sent out to one wing, just away from everything, to not be noisy. So there I am, age 15, 1,000 voices raised in song, in Christmas carols, with the choir and everything, in this cathedral, floodlit from outside, the windows, the stained glass and everything, and I'm just completely infused with this thing, and then it's my turn. And I come out and I hit the drums and I raise the stick, and I can hear this cathedral, like 1,000 people all waiting for this guidance into the next layer of ecstasy, because it's really very emotional. Christmas carols will do that to you when you're in that echoing hall and it's all pretty, and to go rum dun dun dun, and to lead this experience, I guess it's literally a religious experience.
Exactly
I guess
right.
I'm in a church, and it's pretty powerful. That also was a deeper level of what music is for.
And that reached you a certain way that just...
It's that there can't be anything more important for me than this, that I can do this. That, even in boarding school, I was so pale. In an English boarding school, they called me pale face, And so this instrument, and not just the instrument, but the music, because it wasn't just me hitting the drum, it was the whole musical experience and the sound and the emotion of all these people.
Yeah.
That accounting class, that Latin class, that geography class, that anything else class, really, what's the point of any of that when this is available as a place, I can be this cog in the machine. Yes, please.
Yes. So that impact still to this day is with you.
I still feel it.
Vividly, right?
I
Isn't it
still
amazing, right?
feel it. I'm 64 years old, and I go into my studio, and whatever tune I'm working on, actually I play with movies and pictures and all kinds of different media now.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, it just takes into that place. That power of the music. Okay, I'm by myself in my studio, but I'm creating something, an opera, for instance, or a symphonic piece, which I'm gonna play in front of an audience. And sure enough, I do the work in the studio, and then I find myself with the Chicago Symphony and my drums having that experience. And that's what life is, how many, from 15 to 65, how's your arithmetic there? What's that, 40 years or 50? However many years that is, many years.
49, 50 years, yeah.
It doesn't quit.
Yeah. But that's powerful because that took you then through the pop world, and then the classical. Where'd the classical and symphonic part come into your life?
Well,
Early
my
on?
daddy raised me to be a jazz musician, but my mom was listening to Stravinsky and Ravel.
And jazz you never connected with jazz.
I connect with Buddy Rich.
Yeah.
And I connect with some wrong jazz, the occasional, Woody Herman track or something, that. And my jazz buddies tell me, dude, that is wrong jazz. My dad raised me on Stan Kenton. My buddy Stanley Clark says, dude, that's the problem right there. I was raised on wrong jazz, which did make me a little immune.
Yeah.
And by the way, when Miles was happening, so was Jimi Hendrix, and that's where I was. I missed Miles because I was busy with Jimi Hendrix and Mitch Mitchell.
Mitch Mitchell, and I think Mitch Mitchell probably has been a real big influence.
I don't think Mitch Mitchell missed Miles, by the way. Because he had all the jazz chops.
Yeah. Mitch was an incredible jazz player, especially with Jimmy, which was a very unique combination of musical sounds of what they did. But Mitch Mitchell, what was it about Mitch that attracted you to him? What was it about his playing?
The flashiness, the busyness, the energy, the explosive contribution that he made. It wasn't just the guy at the backstage, go thunka, thanka, thunka, banka. It was somebody who was like, wow, I want to do that.
It was an integral part of that music, yeah.
And doing a lot of it, too.
Yeah. But he was a real dedicated jazz player. And jazz, I should say jazz
I never
student.
talked to him. I never read much about his opinion.
Yeah.
Ginger Baker always says, I'm a jazz drummer, that's it, period, a jazz drummer. He's sure a pretty good rock drummer, too.
Absolutely. So Ginger was also part of an influence
very
for you
much.
at that point. Yeah.
I did get to hang with Ginger.
Yeah.
Beware of Mr. Baker.
Be aware of Mr. Baker, man. What an amazing, amazing man. And an amazing story he has, too.
Yes.
So you went now, so you moved back to England, and how did the police start to form? Where did that come into?
Well, I was already in England.
At that time,
I was born in America, Virginia. I left when I was 2 months old to Cairo, Egypt. From there to Beirut, Lebanon.
Yeah.
And from there to Somerset, England. From there to London, England.
Okay.
And then college in California, but then I came back to London because that's where I knew everybody.
Right.
And ended up in a band there. And in 1976, the punk wave happened.
Right.
It was a whole new hairdo.
Instantly it changed.
Yeah.
At that
Well,
point.
there was a watershed, not as big as the baby boomer watershed, where our daddies listened to, wore suit, jacket, and tie, even teenagers, and they listened to music with trombones in it.
Right.
And then there was a cultural watershed, and we don't listen to any of our parents' music. That watershed, there's never been as watershed in our lifetimes as big as that. My kids still listen to Led Zeppelin.
Right,
I don't listen to Stan Kenton. But there was another watershed, not as big, but significant, in the late 70s, which was the punk thing, which new wave, which was short hair, as opposed to long hair. Well, like I say, it's all about the haircut.
Yeah.
And same guitar, bass, and drums, same E, A, and D chords, different subject, different attitude, different message, different hairdo. And that's what was going on when for a late baby boomer such as ourselves. It was all, the hippie thing was kind of old by then, and the kids just younger than us invented this new thing which looks a lot more exciting, which we can be the boss of, because we've been around the block a couple times. And so the Police was formed in London in 1976 to take advantage of this new punk thing. And we cut our hair. Sting did a Wrigley's commercial and dragged us in too, and the designer said, "Hey, they look like a punk band. Peroxide their hair." And so we, half an hour later, we're looking at each other, we're all peroxide blonde. That's kind of cool.
I remember that commercial. Absolutely, yeah.
And so the Police was a part of that. We wore that uniform, but pretty soon, the innate musicality kind of squirted out there.
But you grabbed influences.
Wasn't a plan.
Yeah, but if it wasn't a plan, it was a beautifully designed universal concept, because it changed so much. It changed so much with the influences that you had with the band, how each individual played in the band, the music itself, the energy of the band.
Well, it was kind of prog rock.
Yeah.
In a weird kind of way.
Yeah. The beginnings of it. Yeah.
Well, no, it was an echo, actually, of the prog rock of the mid-'70s, when musicians were playing too many notes. And it all got kind of artsy-fartsy, which is why the 18-year-old kid said, "No, I don't want artsy-fartsy. I don't want too many notes. I want some angry music, because I'm angry. I just want two chords that express my rage."
Right.
All that artsy, and that's what it was all about. And so we played those two chords. When Andy Summers joined, 5 or 6 chords.
Yeah, he opened it up.
The prog rock, you see, we were older, and we'd come from that prog rock world, which is all about too many notes. And we probably put a little too many notes. It was just kind of there in our blood. So we were a little bit more of an echo of prog rock. Then, for instance, the Clash, who were, honest to God, unmuddied, unpolluted by prog rock. All they knew was 3 chords, and man, they could make a lot of motion with 3 chords. Which is what it's all about, campfire music.
Absolutely.
I believe we're back to that point now, where any kid, if their laptop, can make music. You don't need a producer. You don't need a studio. You don't need to go to the man. Just me and my buddies, we can make music, and it's just like back to the campfire.
And that's where we are now, you think?
Pretty much. I mean, that's, I am blessed that I lived at a time when specialization in music, I could specialize in music and live a pretty rich life as a result of that specialization, but that has diminished. Music started out around the campfire, where everybody does it. In my travels through, the weird places, the fourth world and fourth and fifth worlds, I've discovered that this power of music, when it's not specialized, when it's a community thing, it's really powerful juju, and that's really the purpose of it all. Somebody in my position spends some time wondering, what the hell, why? 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 But what is the purpose of music? What is its meaning? What is its anthropological purpose? And so we're back at a point where it's campfire music in our society, in our culture, where you can do it. Music's like that these days. You can do it. All you need is 2 chords. And every now and then a band like The Clash comes along to show you that it's not rocket science, folks. You can do it. And it's a lot of fun to do.
How amazing. Do you think technology today has helped speed the process up of
absolutely
young kids having this opportunity?
Technology has absolutely brought music back to the campfire.
Nice.
Which is anomalous, because you don't think of campfires and technology heading in the same direction.
Absolutely.
But in fact, technology has made it possible for the drummer in a rock band to write a full symphony And I can write the whole arrangement, you know, and with the diminuendos, the Italian that you put on the page, the articulation, everything, all that information.
All the software, everything is
which
there.
would have taken going to music school all this time instead of playing in a rock band all this time.
Right.
With technology, there's an app. I know the music. I know what note I want. I write the music. But it's possible for me to just, like a typewriter for music, instead of, you know, what Mozart had to do, which he had to spend his whole life learning how to do.
Right.
So that lowered the threshold so that a guy like me can write a big, full orchestral score. Also, with sequencers, not only can you compose, but you can have the damn machine play it for you.
Interesting.
And the machines, believe it or not, play pretty darn good. Get this for an anomaly. You know, the human function of music, dancing, which is a procreation exercise. It's all about thrusting your pudenda at a member of the opposite sex to demonstrate your prowess, your genetic superiority by the way you wave your pelvis.
Ceremoniously, absolutely.
Okay, it's all beneath the surface, folks. Okay, well, what is it that in music of this kind induces humans to behave in a way that is totally socially unacceptable under any other? Can you imagine, you know, anywhere else doing that? You know, on the dance floor with music players, it's actually, you're kind of uncomfortable. You feel like a stiff prig unless you are doing that, you know. Okay, so music makes you do that weird. Well, what kind of music does that better than any other kind of music at all? Elemental, visceral, from the heart? No, a machine achieves this effect of changing human physical behavior profoundly better than humans do. So, back to the technology, Campfire music. Those machines can play your music for you better than we can, and guess what? As far as the sentiment involved and everything, it doesn't matter. Machine plays it well enough to get your pudenda rocking.
Hence EDM, electronic dance
okay,
music.
our intellectual part of our brain, we like human emotion, we like coloration, we like that nuance that you get from a human. I love that. But for dancing, machines do it real well.
Interesting. Which is why this EDM music is screaming now. This electronic dance music. It's just incredible everywhere.
Cut to the chase.
It goes to the chase. Exactly. Aside from playing, you got involved with composing, and you've got all these different aspects of composition. What inspires you to take in that adventure?
I think it is a simple recognition that you can keep learning. An old dog can learn new tricks.
Beautiful.
And not only that, but the exercise of learning a language or learning an instrument. You know, I would say to every guitarist, get on the keyboards, get on the trumpet, well, start with the trombone because it's actually pretty easy. Trombone's low threshold. I'm getting pretty good at the trombone because it's got that big old mouthpiece. Any damn fool can get a note out. Trumpet, you actually have to practice. I hate that. Learning, you know, for musicians, learning new instruments is good for the brain. And you can. And I guess the simple recognition that you can, and heck, why not? You know, stay curious, stay interested, keep learning.
So is guitar part of your life?
I've always played guitar.
Really?
And it was a path in life, whether I went down this way or that way. I think, actually, as we're talking here, the penny just dropped. I bet it was my dad who said, guitar, screw that, he's playing drums. But I did play guitar. There was a beat up guitar around the house, and I figured out how to tune it up, and I figured out 2 chords. That's all you need. No, it's not bedtime yet. You know, okay, 3 chords is better than 2. And I still play those 3 chords. I love them, E, A, and D.
And it works.
What more is there to life?
And it works.
Yeah. Actually, there is a little bit more to life. When Andy Summers joined with like E flattened minor 7.
That opened up a world,
Then that did kind of open up worlds.
How intense was it when you were traveling with the band? Was it, you know, you were traveling, you were working at such a pace with the police. I mean, it really was a very intense journey.
But when you're that age, it doesn't feel like it's such a pace. It just feels like what you do. And as long as you're doing it, that's a good day. And when we weren't touring, you know, in London, trying to make it happen, trying to blow wind into the sails, trying to shake the tree, trying to get attention, just trying to make stuff happen, that was tough. And I was climbing the walls of London, you know, or trying to knock them over or something like that. But when you're on tour, you're doing what you did all that for.
Right.
All that stuff there. This is why I did all that, because we're
worth
playing a show tonight, and we're on tour, and we're living the dream.
Were there any differences in audiences when you were playing at that time? Was the U.S. a different?
American audiences were what made us. The punk scene in England was very strict. It was punk, and the rules of punk were very strict.
Right.
Americans, they just wanted to see a band rock out. And since we were English, we got to like headline. And so the support act would be like the local band with all their gear and stuff. And then the headline is all the way from England come out with 2 amps and a drum set. And the Americans had an expectation, and they were impressed by the stuff that we were repressing. They were impressed by what we had repressed.
Interesting.
They liked it when Andy took a solo and blazed out and did all kinds of stuff, and we'd stay on that and we'd go off on that because we actually had to stretch the material. And we could get away with that in America because the American fans didn't know any better. They didn't know that it's supposed to be just 3 minutes, suspended nights, or verboten, you know. They didn't know any of that. So we were able to do all that. And so that's where we, you know, having to play 2 or 3 sets a night, stretching our material, stretching each other, exploring each other. Right. That's where we discovered ourselves in the Rat Club in Boston and other places.
So in the improvisational part of the band, which is kind of what that was to a certain degree.
Well, you could call it filler.
Right? Okay. How humble you are. But I mean, what it was, so you guys were feeding off of each other.
Yeah, codependent. And there's only 3 of us, so we need each other.
What do you think you took from then that you have now? What qualities?
Oh, all kinds of lessons.
Like what?
From both of them, all kinds of lessons that I've learned. You know, I learned, you know, with the Police, it wasn't until years later I learned about band leadership. You show up for an album, and you've been working on songs. And by the way, you know, we all went home and wrote furiously to bring to, you know, we all wanted to
bring
contribute.
to the table. You wanted to offer.
And
yeah.
And if we didn't, Sting would have been really pissed off. What do you mean? I'm there working and you guys have been sitting at home taking your what? You know, that doesn't mean to say he had any interest in playing our songs. But he just wanted to know that we had been working. And so, but what he did was very clever. And there I am, here, listen to all my songs. And I make everybody sit through all my 5 tracks or whatever. And you know, the first track is my best shot. And yeah. The second shot, well, I like parts of it. Third track, how many more have you got? You know. Not our sage and leading light. He'd reveal his songs one at a time. I got a song. Oh, great. Fantastic. Whoa, another one. You know, home run. Let's work on that. And we're working on that. And, you know, okay, okay, now what's next? Well, they've already heard my songs, but we're kind of interested. What else you got there, Sting? And he pulls out, you know, Message in a Bottle. And so band leadership is all about getting up very early in the day and being the first person with the best idea. And I learned that, and I've taken that with working with lesser mortals. Right. You do your homework. Most rock musicians, they show up in rehearsal and they just, you know, you think on your feet. With classical, I learned this with working with an orchestra. It's all about the homework. Right. You've done all your work. You show up, you put it on the page, and in 2.5 hours, 60 guys have got it because you did your homework. There's no negotiation. How about if we go to here and yeah. Rock and band is very different. You're thinking on your feet. Right. You don't come in with a plan. You kind of learn it there and you make it up on the. You know, it's very improvisational. Right. You know, very spontaneous. Right. It doesn't have to be. If you've done your homework. And so I got this song here. It's here. It kind of plays like this. And no, here's the song here. Here it is. Okay. Now, and it's like real easy. We'll get that song learned real quick. And so doing your homework and just basically, so what should we do? I got a song. You know, well, you've heard one of the old, you know, drummer jokes. What was the drummer's last words before he got fired from the band? Hey guys, I got a song.
But you have composed some amazing stuff. Movie scores. How do you? Just, you know, from a drumming perspective, you've widened the scope of what you do. Now you're looking at this movie that has no music to it. You got to write this. How do you pull from that, and how do you feel?
Well, the movie gives you a lot of help. The movie and the story and the emotion are pretty clear, and that gets you going. Who knows where music come from? Right. It feels like a river. It feels like it's just there. It just feels like I turn on the tap and something's going to come out. Good or bad? I mean, you may not like it. Right, right. It may be crap, it may be good or bad, or whatever it is. It's there.
It's something, yeah.
And for most people, apparently it isn't. Apparently, I mean, I know so many musicians, great concert pianists, great lead guitarists, great musicians of every kind. that don't have that. They turn the tap on, nothing happens. If they hear something, they know how to jump on it and play with it. And they can play their instrument and express Beethoven or that guitar solo really well.
So it's
and
more
that's
reactive.
But the part where, well, have you got a song? What do you got? Let's hear one of your songs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm gonna do next week? I'm gonna write a song. That means they haven't got that gene.
Right.
And I've learned the composing gene, where it's not like I got to write a song. I'm gonna go write a song. Okay, write a song. A song. No, there's 10 songs. It's a matter of which one. Right. You know, there's this. You open that door. Whoosh, you open that door, and out the flood. You know, comes, and you learn in life. And I've discovered, by the way, that my ideas, my music, whatever it is, the gift, whether the music is any good or not, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about whether it's there.
It's just coming, yeah.
And the quality, for my own taste, hasn't changed. Tunes that I wrote way, way, way back, decades ago, 20, 30, 40 years ago, aren't better. In fact, there's one piece that ended up as a police track. Does Everyone Stare the Way I Do? That little piano riff was an exercise in college, in figured bass, in music school. So the quality is what it is. The identity, the voice, what it is you've got is the same. But over the decades, you learn technique. You learn how to express it. You learn how to take that 3-chord trick and turn it into, you learn how to develop it and take it places, which maybe is a good thing or a bad. Once again, that's not a good thing or bad, but you learn how to control this resource. The gold comes out of the hills. You learn how to get it into the smelter and to turn it into a wondrous crown.
How much of a student would you consider yourself in this process?
I'm still studying.
Yeah.
I still, reach under my desk. I got Stravinsky scores under my desk and all my favorite, Aaron Copland as well. And I still will pull out those scores. And how does he get that part? Ding. Now I got that. It's great. You use the pizzicato on the cello and the bass, and then But is this ding? What is that? Look at the score. He's got a harp. And that how you get that precise expression of that figure with an orchestra with 60 guys to create one thing, which goes dink.
You seem to have a real gift in sounds. What you've discussed in the orchestra, but even percussion sound. Are you still researching sounds as far as?
No, I don't research sound so much. What the sound means, whether it's a good sound or a bad sound, I'll take. Yeah, that's a good sound, I'll use it. But no, I don't obsess over microphones and preamps, and Neve consoles, and valve versus. I don't worry about any of that. I'm my own engineer. I'm basically a glorified roadie. I just put a Shure 57 on that sucker, and whatever signal comes down, gets into my gear. And I'm not going to hold everything up by, well, maybe I should try the Sennheisers. Let's put that. No, plug and play.
Right.
Walk up to your amplifier, plug in, turn around, and play.
So the immediacy of that feeling is important.
The guitarist who comes in and he's with his Fred Astaire with his with his foot pedals and everything.
Contraption on the floor. Yeah.
Later for that.
So it's interesting. So you feel that immediacy of that emotion. That point. Is that what it is?
I guess, yeah.
Are you composing more now? Are you getting back into playing with any bands
I
now?
do both. Actually, my next trick is in front of the stage. And I'm wondering why it took me so long. I got a call from Dave Grohl, who, as a dad, and this is the real world that we all live, he may play stadiums and stuff like that, but he's a dad and his kids are in a school, and the school has its gala fundraiser. All your viewers know exactly what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
They have the gala thing where everybody has to show up and contribute something to the raffle or whatever. And I have the same problem with my kids in all the schools around here, and the gala thing. And usually what they do is all the dads who are in the school, and on the west side fancy schools of LA, everybody's kids have got to go somewhere. They go to like 3 or 4 schools. So at the school, they have what I call the Grateful Dad band. Whatever dads are in that school, we come together and make a band, the Grateful Dad. And one time, the band lineup was Stephen Stills, Gene Simmons. Bob Dylan flaked on us. He was supposed to, but he flaked. How's that for a line? How's that for a band?
is hysterical.
And Stephen Stills guys with Gene Simmons guys, and Gene Simmons was the music director.
Oh.
Anyhow, I digress. So I get a call from Dave Grohl. Same thing. His school. He's calling his buddies. Hey, can you come down and play that? And by the way, in this case, so happens that Dave was a Clark Kent fan. Now, for me personally, there's a bandwidth of musicians, which includes the Foo Fighters, Primus, Tool, the Rage Against the Machine. That bandwidth there, who are all 16 in my glory days, you know. So for that particular bandwidth, I walk on rose petals. Yeah. And they give me a very nice ride. It is a wonderful thing. They're looking at me like I'm some kind of Beatle or something, you know. And so he says, serious. And by the way, I said, can you come play the show? Yes. And by the way, we want to play Clark Kent. You don't say. Well, Clark Kent involves singing. Yep. And I should probably do that from the front. Yep. Taylor played drums. You're going to be at the front of the stage.
How great.
And you're going to sing those songs, and the Foo Fighters are going to be your backing band. And as I've taught my kids to say in all such circumstances, I can do that. And so I did. I got out there in front of the band. I'm out there with a guitar on. I'm on the mic. And I look back and Taylor's working up a sweat there, but for the grace of God, that could be me back there working up a sweat. This is a piece of cake. I did a rehearsal with the band. Didn't change a t-shirt once. I left out there wearing the same t-shirt I walked in. Taylor, he's been through 2 t-shirts by now, you know. And
how exciting.
So that's my next trick. I'm going to do this front of the stage thing. This is a piece of cake.
How exciting is this?
Yeah. And it coincides with a lucky accident. Whereas I go to Italy in the summer, either with a little orchestra or with ethnic music, the pizzica, long story. Yeah. But I have various fun missions. Just to be there in the summer. Last year I got a call from an Italian impresario saying, "Hey Stuart, I got some money. Why don't you record an album with those guys, Gizmo, that you've been, one of the summers you did Gizmo. How about you record now?" Sure, why not? So I went over to Milan, and I've got these songs. I haven't recorded an album in decades, but one by one these songs just kind of land in the cookie jar, sitting in a departure lounge, or somebody needs a song for a movie, they end up using a Diane Warren song instead. But I still got the song in my cookie. They build up. So I went over there with all these songs. And something else I learned from Stingo and other bands, actually I learned this from Oysterhead, is that the way you do it under those circumstances, and we got Adrian Belew on guitar, and we got Mark King on bass, and my buddy Vittorio, who's a big star in Italy, my Italian buddy connection, it was him who called. And so we're recording this over, but I learned whoever gets on the microphone is driving the ship. And so I was on the microphone. And there, we get there, okay, here's the first song. Here's your chart, here's your part, here's your part, here's your part. Oh, and 2, 3. Baby, I got this. I'm on the microphone. And since I'm on the microphone, it's my lyric. And since it's my lyric, that's half the publishing right there. And since I chanted you the chart, it's my song. And this is my record. Now that I had my fun with Dave Grohl, I'm at the front of the stage. It might suck. It probably will suck. But it's a new adventure.
But none of these adventures have ever stopped you from pushing the limits.
There are no limits. It's only music, for God's sake. Yeah. There's really no penalty for sucking.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You can suck.
Absolutely.
You do bad things, okay, but you can try stuff. It won't kill you.
It's almost like you have to fail sometimes at it to kind of understand it.
Yes. And one thing about film composing is that it involves failing a lot of times.
Interesting.
You get beat up. As a rock band, you don't. You work on your record, you're all codependent, you're all in the vibe together. Right. Your record company might look a little terse, but basically they don't say boo. Yeah. And your record goes out and it bombs.
Right.
That is really, that's a drag. But in film composing, you get 2 or 3 of those a day. You work out this scene, you got the chase where the director says, I'm not feeling it. It's supposed to be happy, sad, and this is more kind of sad, happy, And, okay, throw that out. It goes in the cookie jar.
Yes.
The vault, then nothing is wasted. And you come up with another. And you learn kind of to give it up. And that it's only music. And you learn that great thing that you did, no. There's another one.
Right.
And that one doesn't work either. There's another one. And if you're doing episodic TV, where the show comes in on Tuesday, you score the thing, and you ship Friday,
Right.
whether it's any good or not, doesn't matter. There's something on tape.
Absolutely.
There's Q1M1, there's Q1M2, there's Q2M1. You know, that cue list, there's something on every one of those spots where you need a music. You have a couple days off, Tuesday, the next one comes in. And you know, it doesn't matter whether it's your finest hour or not,
right.
or whatever your art. I feel like I'm not. Keep doing it.
Produce something. Yeah.
Here's another weird anomaly: is the music that I've ever done, and under those high pressure circumstances, where volume. It's not quality; it's volume. Right. You know, I want happy music here, danger music here, chase music there, suspense. Yeah. You know, oh! And those themes, like when I did Equalizer,
right.
when I did Dead Like Me,
right.
I did a video game, Spyro the Dragon, for which I just had to write a quadruple album of backing tracks, you know, for every summer. And under that pressure, that's the best music I ever wrote.
Interesting.
And I go back there to Spyro the Dragon, to Equalizer, to some of these episodic TV things that I did. Some of them were such failures that you never even heard of them, but the exercise, just that thing, you get into a role and you get deeper and deeper and you're digging and it's just like more, and you're really getting to the good stuff. And so years later, when I have plenty of time to write my symphony, what should I write?
So how deep
There's
is
that little 3-note trick that I came up with at
right.
2 o'clock in the morning, scrambling to get that deliver Equalizer, you know, Thursday night, you know,
right.
little thing, oh, eureka, you know, that's something which has such power. Strangely, that kind of quantity, that kind of pressure produces a result.
How full is the cookie jar?
Overflowing. My vault
Beautiful.
is substantial.
Beautiful.
And it's all tied up in rights. A lot of the music that I wrote would be so great for that, but somebody owns it. Another funny story for you. One of the other things that we do for our schools is that I give a drum lesson, okay, and they auction off a drum lesson, and then some kid comes in with his dad, and his dad was all, heavy breathing, and the kid couldn't care less, His dad made him come, and I tell war stories and show him how to hold his sticks, and everybody's happy. Well, one year, this guy comes in, and he's a guy, obviously an alpha male, and he wants to learn how to play drums. He's really intense about it. He goes, well, are you drum? No, but I write songs. And, and I couldn't really get out of him. It was a fancy private school, so obviously he's good at something, And by the time he left, he was better at playing drums too, And as he's leaving, he looks up and he sees my Spyro thing up there. He says, oh, did you enjoy doing the Spyro thing? And I said, oh man, that was some of the, and I told him what I just told you about. Oh, I read best music. And in fact, with orchestras these days, the orchestras, they do Brahms and Mahler. Then they do film scores like, Lord of the Rings or Star Wars, and they have these film nights where the orchestra plays while they run the movie, and it's a beautiful thing. Well, the latest thing is they do games where the big Philharmonic Orchestra is playing the music of the game, which they've orchestrated, while the game plays on a big screen, and it's a big game thing. And I'm telling this guy, and in fact, Spyro, that was a big hit game that I scored. I might go do that. I might go get Spyro, scored up. The only thing is I got to find out who owns it, because it was the people who hired me. This was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. They've sold the brand and everything on, and God knows who owns it. I got to just find out who owns that brand. I said, well, I can help you with that. I do. I'm the CEO of Activision.
Oh,
I own that brand.
Talk about fate.
Wow, I get lucky. And by the way, I'm not doing that, and nor that was an afternoon. He gave me his solo album. It's actually pretty good, not bad for a guy who basically kicks ass all day, and goes home and writes a love song. It's not bad. Campfire music.
So it all kind of revolves back to that campfire concept, that way of living.
Well, what music does, it made Janet McRoberts dance. It made 1,000 people feel presence of God.
Yeah.
I didn't, but
but
felt
they did.
Godly.
They did, and you reached them as you've reached
Yeah.
everything that you've done, everything that you've penned and put down.
No. Not everything has gotten there. I mean, there's a lot of misses.
It's reached people at a deeper level. In what it is. Even Dare to Drum. I mean, all that you did was just, it reached people in a certain way. How it reaches people may not reach me, might not reach you. It changes.
Yeah.
But you've done that consistently, Stewart. It's been an amazing journey. And as I said at the start, it's like a movie. Your life is, it should be a movie, because you've had such and continue to have this incredible movement that you've created. That's pretty powerful.
Well, there's a new movement that I want to be at the forefront of with my band.
Yeah.
In my band, you know, Adrian Ballou
Yeah.
and Mark King, this is going to be some prog rock. I mean,
Yeah,
and we got
yeah.
there's songs, for real songs.
Yeah.
But we got some players there. So there's a lot of playing and it's a lot of notes. And so it kind of goes back to that. But I was, you know, I wanted, what's the point of making an album? Who cares? You know, guys our age, we got no business, you know, this is a young man's game. But hey, it was fun to get in the studio with these guys and these songs are fun to play. What's the point at the end of it? I don't know. Making the record was the point.
Absolutely.
Spending,
absolutely.
you know, 10 days in Milan having a wild time and then thinking, oh, should we do a guitar solo? Let's have the chorus come in. You know, the exercise, that was what it was for.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the record company hears the record and they say, well, they doubled the budget. Oh, we got to get the tour. And the big agency in London says, oh my God, you kidding me? We got to book the summer festival. And it's like turning into a thing, you know, as if there's a purpose to this.
Yeah.
And I found out why. I met the record company guy. He says, not so long ago, Deep Purple had a #1 album in England. Not the adult contemporary chart, not the boring old geezer chart,
Right.
the chart. Because in Europe at least, and in America too, we have Sirius Radio, and I'm right there on deep cuts and
yeah.
cherry vinyl and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a bandwidth of radio stations that play Deep Purple kind of music. And so actually, I want to be, with my new band of that old style, I want to be at the vanguard of old wave.
It sounds like you for sure will make it happen. Absolutely. This is great.
Riding
Stuart.
waves is what I do.
It is amazing. I will be the first person in line to pay the ticket to see the movie of your life, because it's an exciting ride for even just someone like myself who lived in the North Shore of Long Island, that when I heard the band play, and I could relate to you because you were kind of my age, but I said, boy, he's really making it happen. He's really doing something that's different. And you've continuously did that. That's pretty powerful. It really, really is.
Ah, shucks.
It really
Well,
is.
you know, everyone does what they do. You know, you look at your peers to your left and to your right, and you think, well, wow, they're really good at that, you know. And or they're not so good. You know, you are. You know,
But it's great
you've never been anyone else, have you?
Exactly right.
You
But it's great that you have always been that way. You've always been exactly who you are, and success has pulled you in.
No. The early rise of the Police, that was a different guy.
Interesting.
in
All
many ways.
right.
Well, it was the same guy, and you live and learn. I guess the same guy, but unbattered by life, unwise. You know, just that folly,
Right.
and also the vertigo and the enabling and all kinds of things can let your demons play and run riot with your life.
What would you say, in closing, Stuart, to the next generation that is listening to who you are and what you stand for and what you do? What would you say to them to give them their guidance? These are young musicians that have that gleam in their eye. They have that passion. They want to try and find their place. What would you say to them?
Couple things. First of all, whatever your instrument is, you're more than that. You're not just a bass player, you're a musician. And you're not just a musician, you're an entertainer. And that was straight from my dad. And so what that means for the bass player, he's learning his bass, but he's a musician, which is that we're making a piece of music. Right. And by the way, I'm going to pick up a guitar every now and then. You see how good I can get on a guitar. And by the way, that drummer just went for coffee, and let's see if I can do that. Yeah. You know, they are all your instruments.
Right.
That's the first thing. And then the reason you play all this, because you're not just musicians. Why are you musicians? To entertain, to light up that room. So that's what your job. Even if you're still on just the bass, your purpose, our purpose, is to light up that room. Right. So you're not just a bass player. You're a musician. You're not just a musician. You're an entertainer.
Dedication, hard work, perseverance, and a lot of strong qualities that you've shown.
It's a lot of luck, and if you have the gift and if you're really talented, that increases the odds. If you work really, really hard, that increases the odds. But all you can do is work the odds. You can improve the odds, but you can't guarantee. There are dickwads up there who didn't have the talent or do any work, and yet they got there.
Right.
And there are people with all the talent who worked real hard. It just took a left when they should have taken a right.
Right. So that luck is a big part of it then.
Yes, but this is where we get philosophical. And I'm afraid I have to use the word karma.
Yeah.
And what I think the physics of karma really are, is that if you get into the habit of doing the right thing and try and figure out, instead of shouting at that guy, go the other way. We're all taught right and wrong. We all know what the rules are. Little Feat said, the people you abuse on the way up, you will meet up on the way down.
Absolutely. Richie Hayward was a good friend of mine, and that's profound when you think about it. On behalf of the Sessions, Stewart, I thank you so much. This has been absolutely eye-opening at many levels. The viewers that watch us here really are fans of yours that are going to step into a whole other world. And the film, when it's put together, this is going to be magic. I see it. I know it's going to happen. Good luck. Thank you so much. You have been wonderful to meet with.
Sure thing.
Thanks.